Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. نعمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله بالهدى ودين الحق وليظهره الله على كل ولو كره المشركون. Alhamdulillah for another Friday Jumu'ah that Allah has blessed us to be here, and we thank Allah, and whomsoever Allah guides, there is none that can lead him astray, and who goes astray does so on their own. For a large part of this morning, I was thinking about a topic, and what came to mind was the solution for all New Year's resolution. This is what we have. With all the trials and tribulations and struggles that we've been exposed to, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has blessed us to be in the right place at the right time. Divine guidance, clear direction. It was laid out for us by the Lord of all the worlds. And this took place before we even knew anything about it. It was destined for you to be here where you are today. And it was specifically, the blessing is specifically for you. It doesn't matter how or where you were conceived. The laws of conception remain the same. We could have been at a party. I mean, I'm going back to some of the real actions that we have come through in the past. There's a number of ways that you could have been conceived, but the laws of conception remain the same. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala who, and I always mention this, who enabled you to go through stages from a sperm drop to a congealed clot to a fetus lump, then bones covered by flesh. These specifics in conception, they do not change. And it's a clear indication that because you're here, you're one of the strong ones. Because in that process of conception, the sperms have to pass through a wall of gases. Otherwise, women would have more than twins at one time. So some of the cells have to be eliminated, but it wasn't you. You made it through, and here you are. Allah had it planned out. It was destined for you to be here. We didn't have a clue. I didn't have a clue, and I'll get a little of my personal history. I didn't have a clue that at 18 months old, I would be burned. Being curious as a youngster in the kitchen with one of the members, close member of our family, friend, cooking. At 18 months old, I go over, you know how we used to do. Back in the day, they used to pour oil into the Crisco cans and use it for another time. I go over and I pour the grease on me and landed in Cooper Hospital. And in there, was coming down with pneumonia. And my grandmother, my beloved grandmother, took me out against the advice of the hospital, took me home and nursed me back to health. So I'm just pointing this out as an indication that there are trials. Everybody has their own that they came through. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, out of his mercy, enabled us to be here. So you came into this world by the grace and mercy of Allah through all kinds of tests and trials, confinement, failed marriages, husband, wives, loss of property, injuries, death of a close relative, hunger, disappointment, abuse. So what? So what? Even if you felt abandoned and alone, Allah did not make you the crown of his creation. And place signs all around you for your guidance and protection. Do you think that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did this to abandon you? So we have the solution to many New Year's resolutions. And this requires word and work responsibility. It requires a continuous yielding of our wills to divine laws, to divine will, and to keep our inclinations in accordance with what Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam brought, which was the Quran. And we must strive to keep our focus and enjoying with as much good as we can wherever we find it. We're surrounded by people who celebrate this new year. Although it's not our new year is Ramadan. And we have a lot of good things connected that were prescribed for us to adhere to during the month of Ramadan. But what we're surrounded with now is a lot of people that don't practice or observe Ramadan. They might observe Bacardi's rum. They might make a resolution to give up smoking, or this year, I want to lose weight. Not me. I want to lose weight. I want to start working out. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has guided us in a different direction. When we look at the prophets, none of them knew beforehand that they were going to be the chosen one to deliver the message of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Isa alayhi salam, before he was born, his mother had a visit from heaven, paradise, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, who told her that her son would not be a mere mortal, but in fact would be divine, whose birth was accompanied by unusual divine signs in the heavens. In the creation of Adam alayhi salam, he didn't know his spirit would not be like other spirits, that his spirit is not like the spirit of the angels or of any other creature. It was a spirit preferred by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Over all his creation. As he stated in the Quran in Surah 15, ayah 29, when I have breathed of my spirit into him, when I have cast a reflection of my divine characteristics on him, this shows that the soul of man implies life, knowledge, power, will, discretion, and other human characteristics. And these characteristics are in reality a slight reflection of divine characteristics that has been cast on the human body, which was originally created from dry clay. And this divine reflection on the human body, which has raised him to the position of vicegerent of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and made him worthy of being before whom angels and every earthly thing should bow down. As a matter of fact, the source of each characteristic of everything is one divine. Characteristics for the others, as is born by a tradition, Allah divided mercy into 100 parts. Then he reserved 99 parts for himself and sent down the remaining 1 part to the earth. It is because of that 1 part, that the creatures show mercy to one another. So much so that it is due to this that an animal refrains from placing hoofs on their young ones. They move around, they don't step on their young ones. In this connection, one has to be on strict guard against the notion that the possession of a part of any divine characteristics amounts to the possession of a part of Godhead. And this is because Godhead is absolutely beyond the reach of each and every creation. The spirit was created to be immersed in all the light, then commanded to enter Adam's body with praise and without haste. The spirit, seeing a very narrow entrance and narrow aperture, said, "O Lord, how can I enter?" It was told, "Enter reluctantly and exit reluctantly." So the spirit entered from the cranium into the eyes. Adam alayhi salam then opened his eyes and looked at his clay body. He could not speak, but what did he see? He saw something written on the pavilion of the throne. There is no God but God, and Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is the apostle of God in truth. This was before Prophet Muhammad was even on the scene. This was in the creation of Adam alayhi salam. So the solution to all the New Year resolutions is that we strive as though in a race toward all that is good, that we yield our will to divine laws and keep our inclinations in accordance with what the Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam brought. And that we exercise as much patience as we can. Because this is the time, and I talk to brothers, and I got nephews who drive truck all over the place. And they, behind the way people are acting now, my nephew stays emotionally hijacked. Because there are those who have no concern for the next person, and it's shaped oftentimes by, well, there's a lot of things that contribute to it. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is so merciful that he has always laid out signs in creation. All of the of the prophets, from Adam to Muhammad, they all came with a message as a means to raise the consciousness of the surrounding people who were entrenched, who did not believe who associated partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Who became very angry and hostile to the point where they wanted to do harm to the Prophet alayhi salam. They worshiped their deities, the angels, the jinns, the spirits, the forefathers, the prophets, the saints, and the martyrs, and all others who they had set up as partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it would be said to them that we did not know at all that you worshiped us. For no reverence, no respect, no honor, no admiration, no regard, no homage that you paid to us, no prayer, no supplication, no request, no offering, no gift you presented to us, and no praise, no prostration, no bowing down, no remembrance, no religious service, ceremonies or rituals. All of these things made in our name never reached us. And we have to be mindful that when the angels were asked to bow down or commanded to bow down to Adam alayhi salam, Iblis refused. So this is to let you know that there's opposition at every stage of the way. So what do we want to do? We want to focus on Jannah. We have something to look forward to that goes beyond the dunya. We can feel good because you're here, not because of what I'm saying, but because what Allah says in his book and what the messengers brought. You can feel good because this is not the end of it. This is the trial. This is where you're going to be tested to see how you're going to respond. And now that you know, and as I stated earlier, you can be in no better place. This is the best place you can be on a Friday afternoon. And they even admit that Allah alone is the real providence, the owner, the master. He alone is your true Lord, and therefore entitled to your servitude and worship. Once you have been given with clear guidance and direction, and you know it in your heart, hold on to the rope. Hold on to the rope. And it should be kept in mind these questions whether you're going to be turned away, that in itself is an inspiration for you. Just the idea that you could move away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has provided for you. So Iblis is on his job. Shaitan, he whispers, and he whispers at every turn. Every turn. You can be in the Quran reading, and when you put it down, he's on the scene, seeing if he can deter you, take you somewhere else. It's no joke. It's no fantasy. It's a real thing. This is why we have to strive to control our nafs, because the nafs, and our brothers who are married, alhamdulillah, because it says, lower your gaze and guard your modesty. It asks for greater purity. So if you see someone who's attractive, you can run home to your wife, and that's what's advised. But a brother that does not have a wife, it's no joke. You have to rumble with those whispers, because when Shaitan gets you, he's going to step off. He said, look, I just whispered. You're the one that did it. So hold on. Let us ask Allah for forgiveness. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. بالهدى ودين الحق وليظهره ولا عدن كله والعوكار المشركين. آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسوله واليوم الآخر وقدر الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهد الله فلا مضل له آمنت بالله وملائكته وكتبه ورسوله واليوم الآخر وقدره وشره من الله تعالى بيدعونه. That we believe in Allah, and that we believe in His book and the angels. We believe in the prophets. We believe in faith and destiny. We believe in the resurrection and in the hereafter. briefly. So now let us turn to the question that has been posed in this verse, where it's, the Quran asks the mushrik and all those people who rejected the teachings of the Holy Prophet, is there any of the partners and gods you have set up besides Allah who guide you to truth or can do so? Obviously, the answer to this will surely be in the negative, for neither of the classes of gods is capable of this. So let us consider with this regard to those gods and goddesses and living or dead human beings who are worshipped as gods, though it is true that people turn to them for the fulfillment of their needs or for their protection from calamities in some supernatural way. And this is, this is the beauty of what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has extended to us. And I always mention, it has no disregard for our ancestors and the traditional greatness of our people. No disrespect. But we have to keep our focus on what Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam brought, because there is no prophet coming afterwards. And those who have embraced Islam oftentimes bring things with them, traditions with them, that have to be addressed because it's haram. I was watching a documentary where people in Africa, not all, but this particular family of people, they had their cows. They would take an arrow and a bow and skim the neck of the cow and catch the milk, the blood, catch the blood and heat it up and drink it. And this is only one tradition that is incongruous to the Muslim. It's not harmonious, it's haram, because we don't drink blood. But these things have to be addressed. And even there's a lot of, and I'm not pointing a finger at Christianity, but the Trinity, a lot of that was practiced throughout Africa. Associating partners, calling on spirits. So it's alhamdulillah that we have what we have in Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam and in all of the prophets. All of them brought some clarity. But the final clarity lies with the presence of Prophet Muhammad alayhi salam. And out of this, those who associate partners with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala oftentimes make rules, regulations, and laws which others accept and follow. And this is why we have to strive and make the message public and clear and collide. That's it. You've done what you were supposed to do. You can't compel no one to embrace what you believe. You can make the message public and clear, and there's a way, there's a way to do it. If you look at the example of Prophet Muhammad, Islam, he was not an arrogant person. He was not impatient. He encouraged tolerance. But you can come in contact with some situations where you feel like throwing all of that out the window. You don't want to be patient. You don't want to be tolerant. I mean, and cuss. So, alhamdulillah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue to guide us along that elevating path through which upright human nature can ascend to its ultimate perfection. Because your iman is a light. It's a light to show you where to place your feet along that elevating path through which your upright human nature can ascend to its ultimate perfection. Once that connection is broken, it's inevitable there's going to be a decline. So may Allah protect us. And may we yield our will to the divine laws. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless us in this time of trial to experience the ease that comes with hardship. So with that, my beloved brothers and sisters, if there's anything that I said that's incorrect, it's from me. And inshallah, I've said something that will help us during this time of trial.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar. Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah. Ashhadu anna Muhammad.